Schon gar nicht bei Schiff.
Boom. 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 We're live, everybody. Hey, welcome to Red TV in Conversation. I'm Peter Clark, and for a couple select few of you out there, kaboom. Kaboom for you. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. Hey, hope you're having a great day, and thank you for spending time with us. I know how important time is. I really do. So I'm really happy that you're here with us today. Couple cool people right there. We're going to talk about them in a couple seconds. That is for sure. So, hey, I just want to throw to everybody that we are live. Of course, we are live right now. We're on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Twitch and anything.com the kids are doing today. That's what we're doing right now. So we're out there right now live. Now, from what I understand, though, please throw some, if you're watching on LinkedIn specifically, please throw something in the comments and let us know that the comments are working. From what I understand, they might not be working with these broadcasts right now as we speak. So if you are on LinkedIn and you want to type in a comment, I'd appreciate hearing it and let us know if you were there. Great show today. Great show today. Hey, listen, I got to start doing this more. This is the most uncomfortable part of the show for me. I'm going to be like 30 seconds doing this. Don't like doing it, but you know what? No one else will do it for me, so I got to do it. Hey, listen, if you like what you see here, like and share with your network. Okay, I appreciate that. I'd love to get Red TV out to a broader, wider audience so that we can inspire people just to do some good in the world. That's all we're trying to do here today. Hey, and I'm always looking for people to want to join us. Hey, listen, if you've got a broadcast coming up, something super important you want to get out to the world, I know somebody who can help you. Simple as that. There's my little plug right there. Boom. Always looking to help people who have something important to say. And Red TV knows a little bit about live streaming and broadcasting. Boom. There it is. That's enough about that. That's my self-promotion for today. That was hard on my heart. I don't like doing that. Okay. We have some super cool people here with us, joining us today. And I brought them together very specifically, or they came together. Listen, they were together doing their own thing. I just thought it was a good idea to bring them together on this show, just to talk about the correlation between happiness and spaces and creating those kinds of conversations. I just think it's super important. If we need happiness more than ever right now, I think this is the time period in history that we could use a little happiness. That is for sure, especially in the workplace. Let's face it, it's been a very stressful time for people remote working, getting used to climatizing to the new change. And now, of course, we're going to start opening up. The world is starting to open up right now, which means people are going to start returning to work, which is even going to be fascinating as well. So that's going to be an interesting juxtaposition to watch that play out as well. Hey, let's introduce these beautiful people right over there. Karen Judge, Dose of Happiness, beautiful space in the center, in the heart of downtown, the core of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and Western Canada. Proactive mind health researcher and educator. She has a new book coming up, everybody. New book coming up. So you might want to check that out. Drive Your Happiness. She's the founder of A Dose of Happiness and the UMATTER project, and she'll inspire you. She has a really cool space. So we're going to talk about creating spaces. That's number one. And number two here, Jim. He's not number two, number one in your heart, but number two on the list right here today is Jim Lippens. Jim Lippens is the founder of Happiness at Work Conference. It's more like a movement, not just a conference, more like a movement. And he's also the owner of something called 4D Lean. We'll talk about that as well. Keynote speaker. But this conference is going to be an amazing conference that was scheduled to be held in December of 2021, but now we're going to be doing it in 2022, which is fantastic. So we'll talk about that as well. So we're going to be talking about happiness. If you have some comments or questions about that, happiness at work specifically, please throw it in the comments and get our guests involved and so on. So in the meantime, would you please welcome our two beautiful guests, Karen Judge, Jim Lippens. How are you?
Hello.
Good to see both of you. Good to see both of you. Good to be seen, as we always say. I kind of say good to be seen and not viewed, just so you know, but that's another joke. Good to see you, Jim. Good to see you, Karen. Hey, listen, happiness is close, dear to my heart. Really close to my heart now. But hey, listen, it's going to be a great conversation. So, Karen, first of all, I just want to thank you for joining us here. You're in your space in Calgary. I see it in the background. It looks amazing. Good job there. So welcome to the show. And Jim, all the way from, where are you calling in from today? You're over in the Netherlands somewhere. Are you not?
No, I'm Belgium. In Belgium.
Belgium, correct. I know. Why do I get that area mixed up? Because I haven't been there yet. So I have to. I'll have to go over in June sometime. We'll talk about that soon. Good to see you guys. Let's start with. I do want to acknowledge we have a few people in the audience that are joining. Look, beautiful. Love to see some people joining us. Thank you, Jennifer, joining Washington D.C. Hey. It's a very quiet town. Nothing going on down there normally. Hey, good to see you. Always good to see you. That is my beautiful spouse there. She put wifey there. Hi, Renuka Mohan. It's good to see you. There's LinkedIn users saying hi to you guys. Danielle, good to see you. Now that's from the Netherlands. Danielle's from the Netherlands. There you go. And Danielle's been on the show, so thank you. So good to see you. You were such a great supporter. Love that. Melody. Always. I love the, listen, Boston accent in the house, Massachusetts. Right down there. Love having her in the house as well. Stephen, good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, I know who Stephen is too. Don't need to go into that right now, but I tell you, I know how Stephen is good. Hey, and Dr. Rhonda, good to see you. Thank you for showing up. I know you're going to put in some wonderful comments for us to, and questions and comments and so on in the show, as you always do. So I super appreciate that. It's so awesome to see all you guys. So thank you for doing that. Okay, where are we starting it? Listen, there's so much to go on. There's so much to talk about. Karen Judge, let's go to you. Let's start with you. Well, both of you, first of all. Let's start with you, Karen, and then Jim, really quick questions. Always got to start with, everyone okay? Healthy? Family's okay? Is everything okay? Just say, give me a yes and tell me that everyone's okay.
Everyone's okay.
Jim? Everyone there?
Yeah.
Good. I'm super happy. I want to make sure everyone's healthy and doing good. That's the most important thing. Karen, let's start with you. Let's talk about this a little bit. If there's ever, again, I just said, if there's ever a time, that we need some happiness in our lives, it's right now. I mean, let's face that. We could all use a dose of happiness. And so I just want to start there. You have a physical space down in the heart of Calgary, in the core of Calgary, Alberta, and that's in Western Canada for everybody watching around the world. Just tell us a little bit about the concept of a dose of happiness, just so people get a context of how the conversation is going to play out. The concept behind a dose of happiness. And your space. And what I'll do while we're talking about that, I am going to bring up a video that I asked you to do. I know you didn't want to do it, but I appreciate it. It looks amazing. It's just a little walkthrough, and we'll have a little walkthrough of the video, and you can tell us about the space. Tell us about a dose of happiness and a little bit about the concept itself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Peter. So I am here inside a 7,500 square foot space. We're located in the heart of downtown Calgary. This is a pilot project, and we are creating a place where people can come to feel uplifted. So the whole idea of our space is that 80% of our business is all about offering experiences, and 20% is we represent products that either connect to wellness of the brain and mind or spark joy. So the idea of the space is we do a lot of corporate team building, but you bring us your group, whether it's family, friends, your corporate team, and we pair you with an experience that connects to proactive mind health and the science of happiness. So in other words, we want to teach people how to achieve and sustain a healthy and happy brain and mind. And we have connected with experts, leading experts, I believe, in all the areas from forest bathing to meditations to yogas to emotional intelligence. You can come in and have a super fun creative experience that's really artsy, or we can make it really academic and nerdy and bring in a neuroscientist, talk about food for mood. So we meet the group where they're at, and then we just create a really, really uplifting, fun experience.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I've been to the space, everybody, just to be fully transparent. I've been down to that space. It's just super cool. I mean, and there's a number of reasons we want to do a live show from there, everybody. So, I mean, as you can see from the backdrop down there, it's just an amazing space to go. Anybody in Southern Alberta in general, you want a really cool place to kind of do something like a show or something. There it is right there. But you're right. It's just a cool atmosphere, again, where organizations can come together and bring their teams together. I'm going to, and this correlates directly with Jim's work as well. So I just want to make sure that people aren't feeling there's a disconnect here. We're talking about creating spaces of happiness. And of course, Jim's conference is certainly, one of the largest in the world, probably the largest in the world, if I'm not mistaken right now. But so Karen, let me just bring up your video. Let me just see if I can bring up a video. It's just a quick little walkthrough, and what we could do then is that you can just we can show people a little bit about what it is. Here we go. There we go. Move over there. Let me see if I can get Jim. Let me move. I don't want Jim to be hidden behind the dose there. There you are. I don't want you to be hidden there, my friend. Here, let me move you up a little tiny bit. Boom. There you are. Okay, so Karen, let's walk through the video. This is the entrance to the store. It's in the heart of the city of Calgary. I don't want people to feel that if you're not in Calgary itself, this is not accessible. It's accessible in many different ways, virtually as well, when it comes to training and education and so on. But anyway, let's walk through it real quick here. Karen, I'll just put it on. There it is there. Okay, let me see if it will play for us. And why is it not wanting to play for us right now? There we go. There's a dose of happiness. All right. Walk us through here, Karen Judge.
Yeah, so that's just the front of the store. You kind of saw in the gift shop area there at the front window, but you just come in the door, and to the left side is where we have all the products where people can just come in and I
mean, the colors are amazing, right? I mean, look at this. Yeah, keep going. Sorry. These are all the vendors. Yeah, we're actually kind of under a makeover right now, so this doesn't really show it to its best ability, but it's just really, we want to create a really uplifting place. Really, our products are more, as I call it, the shiny ball syndrome, to get people through the door. And they usually say, what is this place? And now we're walking back towards the event space. And this is the space I'm in. So everything's movable. And so we can create a space for whatever activity that we are creating. So, yeah. Again, so cool. I'm cringing a bit because this is under makeover, but yeah, it just gives you an idea of how big the space is. And so it really allows us to make it whatever we need to create. Yeah. So looking back here, this is where you're set up right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is where I am right now. Yeah, this is our classroom. So this is where we really focus a lot on corporate trainings. We have a whole corporate program on mind health, teaching employees how to have a healthy and happy brain and mind and good mental health. Right. And this space, if we have a yoga class, we can just move everything out of it and we can just transform it into whatever we need it to be. So having a lot of fun with it. I mean, of course, we'd like to make this a permanent concept. We believe we're onto something with this. And so we're super excited to see where we're going to take this.
Fantastic. Again, this space is there's a lot of energy in that space, lots of colors, lots of different things, like you said, mind, health, and wellness. It kind of, there's books, there's a space where people can do trainings and they can bring their team together to do team building and so on. I'll show some pictures of that where people have come in and done painting projects together, team building projects. I think that's really super to talk about. Just before we jump to Jim and talk about the conference and then the relationship between the two spaces here, talk about that a little bit, about team building events. I think it's just super important. You touched on it. Very similar to what, again, on Jim's side, it's about really encouraging about this happiness at work, bringing thought leaders together to talk about it in a conference setting so that you can bring that information back to your organization. It's very similar in the sense that you're creating opportunities for people to gather in a space, learn some things and or bring their own projects and things you want to work on together. Talk about team building a little bit, why it's important maybe for some people to consider to come down to a space like yours.
Well, just really, Peter, to start off with, mental health is serious business. And if you just look at the stats around mental health, it's costing the economy billions of dollars every year. And our whole idea of this space is to shine a bright light on mental health through proactive wellness solutions. And so we're very much about focusing on our corporate work and making this conversation easy. I have a girlfriend who's a very high-level CEO, very well-known, and she said to me one day, Karen, I think most CEOs want to do better. They just don't know how. They don't know where to start. They don't understand. And I know that. I've been speaking around this subject for at least 8 years. It's been an interesting journey because happiness and work, right away, we kind of do the two go together, which they absolutely do. But people are starting to wake up to this more, and especially what we've been through in the last couple of years. We're really talking about mental health, and that's really going to be the next crisis. So we really are making this conversation. That's why I've got the sun on the back wall, because it is about shining a bright light and making this, simplifying it. I spent 10 years studying neuroscience, positive psychology, biology, human development, mental health, and I'm bringing it all together and just making it fun and interactive and transformational for people. And I say I need to have a go camera on my head, because what happens when people come in here and the stories, there isn't a day that goes by that somebody doesn't sit across from me and say, I don't know what this place is. And before you know it, they're telling me their whole life story, and they're crying, and they're like, I haven't felt this good in like months. We've had some team building sessions where staff have literally left crying and saying, I didn't know I needed this so much. We've had such great feedback. We just had a law firm who had a team building here and sent us a note that said by far it was our best event ever. So we're having great feedback from this. And it's so important right now because the brain is wired for connection. We need connection. And we haven't had that for a couple of years. And as we're all coming back to work, people are a little awkward. They don't know what. It really is so important to bring people together in community. And it's also important for employee retention, which is going to be a big issue. And I know, with what Jim's doing is so amazing, because this is all what this is about. And about, you're hearing companies, Jim and I had a conversation yesterday about how a lot of organizations are saying, well, right now we're trying to chase employees, like find new employees. And we had that conversation, why chase versus attract? Like create a culture and environment where people want to come and work for you. So I just think now more than ever, it's so important about employee mattering, and getting together is so much about that. So that's what we're about in this space.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I just think it's so timely. It's so timely about this idea of bringing your teams together. Let's face it, leaders have been struggling with this idea of remote work right now, and how do you lead remote teams, and how do you make them feel connected, and how do you feel all of that, because we're social animals, obviously. Creating a space where we can go and start this process of healing and coming back from remote working and building teams and so on. Jim, so thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic. I just wanted to touch on that and make sure that everybody understood that, especially anyone in the area of Southern Ontario, listen to me, Southern Ontario, Southern Alberta, and Western Canada. This is just a drive away for most people. So which means that the space is there and so on. Jim, let's jump over to talk about the conference. The last time you and I had a conversation, that was last year. We were talking about the conference coming up, and we're pretty. Listen, it's an amazing conference. It's a global conference. So important that people learn more about this, because I think you've really tapped into something. So I'll put the website up here. happiness-conference.world is where you can go, everyone, to learn more about it. Just to put it into context for everybody, because we'll jump around to a few things. Tell us a little bit about this conference for anyone who might not know exactly who you are and what this is about. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of Happiness at Work, the conference. It started with a personal story. So it started rather small until we got the idea, we might have to make it bigger. So, and this is now the third time we are organizing it. And because nobody is doing something, we are suddenly the biggest of Europe. So in fact, we will have like nearly 2,000 people in our venue. So last time we organized it, we were 300. So that means times 6 in Corona time. So that's I can tell you that's a big jump.
Yeah.
And, I did not sleep too much the past months to get this done. But that's mainly it. So it's a conference about mental health at work, about engagement, about happiness and well-being at work.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And I encourage everyone, please go to the website. You'll learn so much more about it and the guest speakers that are coming up. I'm going to bring up the website in a second, Jim, so we can kind of walk through it so people get a sense of it. I also know you have a quick little video clip. I'm going to play a little clip about your particular event, and so that people kind of get a feel for what this is. And this is going on in, I think it's been rescheduled for June, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? June 28th.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. So some of the details along the bottom there, everybody, but certainly always feel like, again, go to the website to learn as much as you can about it. But in the meantime, hey, this is a very short little clip. Let's show something about what's coming up. And again, amazing lineup of speakers. I mean, just amazing. So check this out, everybody. It's a short little clip about the happiness conference, the Happiness at Work conference. Here we go.
Are you happy at work? Happy employees are more productive. This means happy employees bring more profit. Learn how to build a happy company at the Happiness at Work conference, Europe's biggest conference on corporate well-being. Meet the world's leading experts on the subject. Join us at the Happiness at Work conference in Antwerp on 28th June. Go to www.happiness-conference.world.
Fantastic. There you go, everybody. And I saw that little note at the end there. Hey, streaming. You can get this by streaming. You don't necessarily have to fly there, everybody, because I know, again, the world is opening up. But between now and the summer, who knows? But in the meantime, if you think you're interested in this, you can still check it out through live streaming. Thus, we'll talk to Karen Judge about that in a second, how those two things connect. So, Jim, again, I think what's really, really important, and I'll start with you on this, because we're trying to correlate this idea of happiness and talking about happiness and spaces of happiness, very similar to what Karen is doing. You're creating obviously a global space for people to come together and so on. Let's talk about this happiness in the workplace. If you were to kind of, when you're talking to C-suites and leaders, people in business and community, HR, human resources, these kinds of things, when I say workplace happiness, what does that mean to you? What is workplace happiness?
Yeah, that's different for everybody. And I made a model. You mentioned it, for the lean model. In that model, it's kind of a scale of consciousness, but it's also like kind of a path, a plan how you can achieve happiness at work. And what we see is that for all the stages we have there, the definition of happiness at work is different. For example, people who are on a production line, they mainly want quality. They mainly want that they don't have to do 3 times the same work without adding any value or without having any purpose. They are happy with having some participation. Other people, they like mainly millennials, they are looking for autonomy, and then other people, they are looking for purpose or for self-reliance, or so depending on where you are in your own consciousness level, then the definition is just different.
Yeah. Karen, what do you think of that concept? What workplace happiness? If you're reaching out to somebody right now and saying, hey, listen, with some of the space that I provide, it works towards this concept. What kind of discussion are you having, or would you say to someone, what is workplace happiness?
Well, it's so interesting. I just had coffee with a guy that it was a senior VP for a very large company here in Calgary. And we talked about that exact thing, the business of happiness and mental health and all that. And he said to me, had you walked into my office 5 years ago and told me what you did and shared your corporate training, I would have said, no, thank you. He goes, but I really like what you're doing and you're onto something now. And I really believe that for me, workplace happiness, the precursor to that is having a healthy brain and mind. It starts there. Because you don't know where your employees are at. You never know what's going on behind somebody's eyes. And if somebody's coming into work and they're dealing with stresses, they're not creative or innovative or productive. They can armor up. And I call it the Robin Williams syndrome, in that you never know. And so they can armor up and they can say good morning or hello, and then they can go to their office. But when they get to their office, if they can't manage their fight, flight, or freeze responses, like the stress response, then their brain is not working. And if your brain doesn't work right, you don't work right. And so for me, the whole thing is about whole person, taking a look at whole person, and nurturing that and supporting that and creating an environment for your employees to thrive. And are you doing that? And it starts with, are you paying attention to them? Are you making them feel like they matter? Are you knowing them as an individual? How is your environment supporting their wellness in all areas? An example is, do you have Coke in the fridge in your staff room? There's one example of, no. So for me, really happiness at work is to have, to promote mind health, proactive mind health, and teach people skills and give them tools to be able to manage their stress.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and I think that key word right there you just said is proactivity, right? I mean, I really like that. And there you go. You got fans all over the world. I think even Jim knows this lovely lady. So there's Gina. Good to see you. There's amazing Karen Judge. Here's a little LinkedIn. Love Dose of Happiness, truly welcoming, and the vibe is uplifting. Thank you for always. There you go. Welcoming MADTI into the space and supports us. What is MAD?
So Maddie at his. They do amazing work. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I didn't know it. I'll have to look.
Yeah.
At that. Okay, there you go. And there's Dr. Ron. Yes, she loves it. I love this. And Wendy, it's so good to see you. Beautiful people, beautiful spaces, beautiful ideas. Just love forward thinking and energy of creating a dose of happiness at work. Very similar to happiness at work. Very important in 2022. It is so important. And this is why we're having this conversation for everybody, so that we know that, it's top of mind with leaders. It needs to stay top of mind with leaders. And even as people that work within organizations, if it's not top of mind with your leadership, maybe you're the person that's supposed to bring it into play here. Jim, what I wanted to do, I mentioned that I was going to bring up your website. Let me just see if that is still possible right this second, because on that website, again, they'll get a better feel for, let me just see here. I got a dose of happiness here, and we have the Europe's biggest. Let me just see if I can grab that, my friend. And because I want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to have a peek at the website, learning way much more about it than I'm talking. I don't want to blow over it and make it. There's so much information. There it is, June 28th, everybody. You can go to the website. You can learn a lot more about what's going on. Get your tickets. There's that video we just saw. Here's some stats that are always fantastic. Why invest in happiness? Profitability, productivity, innovation, sales, safety, absenteeism, and burnout. And we're going to talk about that in a second, about burnout and absenteeism. I'm going to throw something at the both of you in a second about that. There's the beautiful speakers that are coming. I know some of these people, and others I'm excited to learn more about. There's one of my favorite people on the planet that I've met through this show is Claude Silver, Chief Heart Officer from Chief Heart Officer. Why am I struggling with that word today? VaynerMedia. She is something else. So Jim, good for you to have her join your towels there as well. And of course, you have some local experts and secondary speakers as well. Just on a different stage and so on, but throughout the conference. But again, Jim, the whole point of this is to encourage people to do what? Leaders to do what? What's the main intention here of this particular conference?
Yeah, the conference, in fact, it's like the highlight of the year. So, in fact, we are trying to create a happiness movement. And in fact, like the conference, it's like there we want to inspire people. For sure, if they are new into happiness at work, we want to really inspire them. We want that they take the messages home in their companies, and they spread the message of happiness at work, that they start thinking about how employees are feeling, and not only how much profit the organization is making.
Absolutely. And again, part of that's part of your 4D lean model. I'm going to put that up in a second. 4D lean, really, really interesting concept, everybody. So you can reach out to Jim about that. Actually, Jim, we can jump to that right this second real quick. Just tell everyone very quickly how they can reach out to you about 4D and the premise behind it. I did it myself, so I know kind of where I sit on this whole chart, and it's an amazing process. But just for everyone, just give us a quick little overview, and of course I encourage them to go to the website 4dlean.com.
I don't know if you can jump to the second page where the model is.
Yes.
There is,
we can jump. I do have the model. Yeah, there we go, right there. Yeah.
So there is like the summary of the different types of people and organizations I see, and there you see the definitions of their happiness at work, and there's an optimum in that model. Every part of the model has its own value, its own contribution, and the main thing in this model is don't think just like in your area. Think also out of the box, and link the rational stuff with emotional stuff and with intuitive stuff. If you don't do it, what we see is there's a shift going on towards more consciousness. So we see that millennials, for example, they behave different than Generation X, and Generation Z, they behave different than millennials. And the needs of these generations, they change. And if you don't know that, if you are not aware of the shifts in these needs, you just lose these people. So that is what we try to learn and to teach these companies. Like, guys, look what these new generations are teaching you, what they need, what they find important. And if the gap between what the company is offering and what the employees need, then they just leave. It's like in every relation, if the need does not match what is offered, it just game over.
Yeah, no, I think you touched on a number of things that we could build a whole show around. Just the fact that in most workplaces today, you can find multiple generations. Obviously, people in their 20s and 30s, people in their 40s and 50s, 60s, 70s, even 70s. I mean, it crosses across again the whole gamut of age. And of course, what someone who's 55 is thinking about what happiness at work means, and someone who's 25 is much different. Just like in life in general, I mean, what they think is happy is much different. What I want to, so bridging to that for both of you guys, Karen, I'll start with you on this one. What you think about this? Touching on that, Jimmy, you talked about the idea of how do we keep people at work. I mean, we're currently going through a time period, what they're kind of coining a phrase called the Great Resignation, where a lot of people are leaving their jobs, they're quitting their jobs, they're changing careers, whatever the case may be. Obviously, the pandemic has played a tremendous role in that. The amount of stress and anxiety that people have felt, losing jobs, losing businesses, and so on. Let's talk about that, Karen, for a second, about the Great Resignation. The idea that people are leaving their jobs and so on. What do you think business leaders can do to help retain their people and support them through this time of what people are referring to as like a mass resignation? What do you think of that?
Well, I think it comes down to people first, bottom line, and it's about compassionate leadership. We're really hearing a lot more about that. It's about empathy. Again, I'll go back to employee mattering. It's about emotional intelligence. I'm super excited about Jim's conference, and like you, Peter, I can't wait to hear 𝘂𝗶𝘁𝗵 speak. A chief heart officer at VaynerMedia. The fact that Gary Vee believes that is going to be a role that's going to be in corporations, and actually we have a train the trainer program as well. We have a mind health champion where we train up to three people within an organization to basically be positive outliers within their organization and to create a ripple effect and to start to spread what does that mean within the organization. So it really is going to be about community and coming together and connection. I really believe that we're moving towards all of that really is going to matter. Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more, and I agree with you. I mean, I think a chief heart officer is going to be a standard phrase in the future. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I know that the term, obviously, human resources has changed dramatically over the last couple decades, actually. I mean, at one time it's all about resumes, and now it's more about taking care of the person. Jim, what do you think about this idea of the Great Resignation, and maybe what you tell leaders, the idea of happiness at work, and again, this idea of helping individuals and looking at it as opposed to just as the collective. What can they do to help retain their people and support them during this time?
Yeah, first of all, knowing what the needs of each individual are. So that's the main thing. Like, and then keep following these people that you know that if the needs are changing, that they are aware of the changes in these needs. So that's in fact it's the main it's the main thing. We are evolving towards. A society that is based on individual attention, and that's the same for companies. Look what is Nike doing. They are creating like shoes. You can buy one pair of shoes that is just one unique pair of shoes, and that's the same with individuals. People want to be seen, and if you don't do that as a company, there's a shortage on good employees. And if you are not among the organizations that are spending that time and attention to the employees, and it's not easy at all, because they are longing for more and more and more freedom, and it's not easy at all. But if you don't do it, then you just die in the end.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I couldn't agree with you more. I think there's so much. I mean, it's just it's such a new space for some leaders. I'm going to assume that, you know, leaders have been around at 25, 30 years are probably adjusting to it, or taking time to adjust to it more than younger people where the languaging is probably a little bit more familiar. And especially over the last 2 years, let's face it, this idea that people are working remotely on their own, dealing with home stress and these kinds of things, it plays a big role. I wanted to throw up a couple comments here, which is fantastic. So appreciate everybody here. I really, really do. I always say, hey, Boston Paul McClellan, it's so good to see you, my friend. He's got this beautiful accent between Massachusetts and Eastern Canada. Gotta love that. I just love that guy. Fantastic. I love this question. This is cool. Thank you, Jennifer. And maybe Karen, you can take a shot at this one, and then Jim will. Do you think that compassionate leadership, because you talked about it, Karen, you mentioned that compassionate leadership, is that a prerequisite for happiness in the workplace?
I'm not sure. I think it contributes too. I think one thing about happiness is, to be clear, it is not your employer's responsibility to make you happy. It is your responsibility to make you happy. And there's no one thing. It's not a quantum leap or a force or a one thing. It's a bunch of things that come together that are going to make you want to show up for your job and show up for what you can give, not necessarily just what you can get. And that's really the kind of employee I think most organizations would like to have working for them. So to me, it's like it really is not a one or the other. It's a mutual. It's just something mutual. And I love the word integration. And it's just providing that environment, providing the right environment. Again, I said that before, that will support an employee to thrive and to be fulfilled. And fulfillment is really how happiness is defined. So whatever that looks like. And so, yes, compassionate leadership is one of the components for sure.
Oh, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. What do you think of that, Jim? What do you think of this idea, that question? Do you think it's, I'll just put it up again, about compassionate leadership? Is that a prerequisite for happiness at work? Can you be happy even though your leader is not that empathetic and compassionate?
Yeah, for sure. It's an important part. 𝘄𝗶𝘁𝗵 will talk about how to create the culture of belonging. So, feeling home, being able to be fully yourself at work, that is important. We always have a mix of masculine and feminine elements. It's like the result and the balance, the doing and the being, these kind of things we have to mix. And the old style, that for sure, that is not working anymore. Pure like the old masculine style, telling people what to do and like even forcing people what to do, that is not working anymore. So we are moving towards a more feminine leadership. That's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I know anyone who knows me knows this. The feminine energy, man. Listen, we just need more of it. There's just no doubt about it, especially when it comes to leadership. We're seeing it and have experienced it over the last couple of years at the global level. You know, you look at the leadership in New Zealand, for example, and maybe in other countries, which is different. Let's just say it's different. So we just need more of that energy. And when I say that, I just think we all know it. We know that it's lacking at the C-suite level, at the even you know, mid-sized businesses and so on. When you look at, you know, who's sitting in the boardroom, who's making the decisions. We need a more balanced perspective on that. So I'm glad you brought that up, Jim. That's a really important point. Melody says, workplace happiness was the basis of my dream in my article, The Vision of a Business Concept. So no, I appreciate that. Melody's a great writer, everybody. So please go check her out if you're on LinkedIn, look her up and so on. And yeah, workplace happiness, you know, again, I think that's going to be top of mind now. As Karen, you said, mind, health, and wellness is going to be top of mind for people. So bridging those two things like your conference and so on. Jim, I want to put those two together right now before I talk about one more thing that's correlated to what we just talked about stress and these kinds of things. But Jim, you're streaming this conference, which is fantastic. And of course, Karen, you have a space down there where people could probably show up and watch a stream. So thus the connection. So tell us, Karen, a little bit about that of your, you know, collaboration with Jim and representing, you know, bringing that here to Canada through the streaming.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have had a dream of doing a big conference here in Canada and putting Canada on the map towards this conversation. It's not a new conversation. It's been going on around the world for many years. And there's some great leaders that really speak about this. And I've just wanted to bring something to Canada. So I did something on my own this fall called 𝘂𝗶𝘁𝗵 and thinking that I would grow this event. And then I met Jim and I learned about what he was doing and we connected. I really feel like we're very like-minded. It's lovely to be able to talk to somebody and just be on the same page. And so I have, I guess, taken on the role of being the Canadian ambassador for this event. And so we're going to be doing a hub event here in Calgary, right in my space. And so we're not going to be doing the full day. We're going to be doing it on June the 29th. So it's the day after. It'll be a luncheon event. It'll be a small, intimate event. We're going to just show the key speakers, some key speakers that are at the event. And then everybody will have access to a live stream link where they can watch all the other speakers for up to 7 days. But we just want to bring everyone together here and have actually a physical event. Yeah. And so Jim and I have been talking about lots of other things of where that can grow into and where this relationship can grow. And I really do believe that we are better together. And I'm very much about collaboration. And so I'm really, I'm excited to support Jim. I just have to say what he has taken on is huge. It's huge. I've done events before and it's stressful. I mean, it requires a lot of money and there's a lot of risk involved. And what he's doing is amazing. And I follow all the conferences around the world in this space. There's some amazing conferences, but what I really like about what Jim is doing is his approach is very much towards corporate. And a lot of other conferences are a little bit more, they're more towards spirituality, which is fine. But this is just more of a really corporate message to this. And I think that it's so important. And I mean, obviously that and spirituality is coming together, but to really take that approach, I find it's interesting. And he's a leader right now in the world. And I know some of his ideas of what he has planned in the years to come. And it's going to be just a real pleasure and a delight to watch how this can grow and how this can impact people, how this is actually going to impact people. It's super, super exciting. So we're thrilled to be the Canadian representative right now and to be having a hub event here in Calgary.
Fantastic. And Jim, I know you have obviously it's radar right across the globe. Your goal is to take this conference, which you've already proven. You know, obviously the attention you're getting, these amazing global speakers. You're getting a lot of attention. You're getting people signing up. I mean, a couple thousand people is no small feat. But tell us a little bit about your vision about painting this around the world in other parts of the world.
Yeah, I like people who do Yeah, and Karen is one of these people who are just doing what they are telling that they would do. So Karen will be one of the hubs worldwide. So the idea is this year we will stream for the first time. Some hubs, they will stream at the same time or the day after the conference. But there's another idea that next year we kind of move the theater, let's call it the theater or the show, that we move it worldwide, so that we take the speakers and we move the speakers worldwide, that we have like 7-8 events in a year. Same event, but just moving locally, and then people add just some local speakers, and there we go. Or they just take the content and they stream, like what Karen will do this year. So this is a combination. And now what we see is people from all over the world are just asking, okay, can I be one of these hubs? And that is fantastic, because the goal is to reach 10 million people by 2035. And I asked myself then the question, what is reaching people? So I even made it more clear for myself what I want to achieve with that. So I was thinking, when all of these 10 million people are just giving €1, I will take the €1, I will take the 10 million euros, and I will just give it to charity. So that is my goal by 2035, to give 10 million euro to charity. So I don't need €1 for this whole concept. I just give it to charity, and I hope to have like a project with children that I can just fund with the money we are raising with the conference.
Fantastic. Well, you chime it back together of business as a force for good. That's something that I've used that term because I've heard it through, Richard Branson and Virgin Unite and other organizations. The B Team, he has something called that as well. It's just, again, using business as a force for good. People, planet, profit, bottom line. How do you use commerce and the economy to actually be profitable for everyone to live a certain lifestyle, but then also be able to give back to the community and make a difference in other parts of the world. So I love the fact that you're tying it back to philanthropy. That's fantastic. So appreciate that, and that's a great vision you have for for the conference. I want to touch on this because it's near and dear to my heart. We just talked about the Great Resignation, and we talked about the ideas of what leaders can do to retain their people. And we talked about the idea that obviously emotional health and wellness, these kinds of terms are now top of mind for people, and we have to figure out how to create a sense of belonging and happiness at work. Stress plays an unbelievable role in people's lives. I'm a living proof right here as we speak right now. I know that stress and anxiety and these kinds of things have played a role in my own health. So I know I'm not alone. There's millions of people around the world. I just want to touch on that, Karen, a little bit. Your thoughts on the idea of gathering and using the conference, using your space for organizations to do team building, anything along those lines. It really trickles back to this idea that we don't know what people are doing. We don't know their story. We don't know the journey they're on. How do you think stress plays a role in all of this, and how can it help people who might be feeling stress in the workplace?
Well, our stress response in our brain dates way back to our ancestors when they had to hunt saber-toothed tigers, and you either had to go out and you were either the killer or you were killed, and you had to make a decision, right? And so our brain is wired to handle stress. But the thing is, our ancestors lived in stress response about 10% of the time. So we're really only wired to handle stress for a very short period of time. Yet in modern day life, we no longer hunting saber-toothed tigers, but our stress response is now our finances, our job, the workplace, our relationships, our health, all of that. And the average human now lives in the stress response 70% of the time. And that was before COVID. So, and I don't like to always bring that in, but that was prior to COVID. So think about that. And this is just pure science. Again, when you are stressed, your brain is not at its optimum level of working properly. And so it really does matter. And it really matters that we all find the skills and tools to be able to manage our stress response. And that is something that we teach in our corporate program. It's something I talk about. It's actually what my whole book is about, Drive Your Happiness, is I use the metaphor of driving a car to walk people through so they can create their own roadmap. As Jim said, and I love how he said that individual needs, I believe that too. I believe the hope for change is that we need to see people as themselves when it comes to their mental health, because like a snowflake, there are no two people that are the same. Yet mental health gets treated based on symptoms, and you kind of get lumped into everything, and it's different for everybody. And so I really teach about, again, the development of whole self, which is about your mental, emotional, physical, intellectual, relational, environmental, spiritual, purposeful self. All those areas contribute to the health and wellness of your brain and mind. So, Peter, for an example, I might be stressed all the time because I'm financially stressed. You might be stressed because you have relationships. So it's all different for us, but all of it still does the same thing to our brain. And so I believe we need to look at individuals. I actually have an assessment similar to what Jim talked about, in that I have an individual assessment where somebody takes, I call it the tune-up. You take this assessment. It does not diagnose illness none of that. It's about warning signs. And so it looks at whole self, and it gives a person a report, and it allows them to see the warning signs in their lives. What area of their life do they need to pay more attention to? And if they don't, it could be dangerous. Their vehicle could break down. And then we have a corporate assessment where a company comes in, and all the employees take this assessment. They take it anonymously, because if not, they wouldn't answer it correctly. And take it anonymously. And then we deliver a report to the organization of where their employees are at, what really matters to their employees, because often we deliver what we think they need versus what they actually need. And then that just becomes spiritual entertainment, is what I call, and it has no impact. So, this way you can know that 70% of your employees are financially stressed. 30% are having relationship problems. Now you can look at what really matters to your employees, so that if you're going to invest in them, you're actually going to deliver what really matters. A lot of companies, again, I go back to that. I know they have good intentions, but they might be delivering stuff that really isn't that relevant. And so if you really want to have that impact, you got to look, you got to know, right? If you don't know, then how can you really help anybody? So, I guess if that answers your question.
I know that's perfect. I mean, you touched on a whole bunch of verticals of awareness that leaders need to be, again, paying attention to in their work environment today. Jim, what do you think of, again, this concept, again, how stress plays a role in the workplace, and, why a conference like yours is, again, where you're with like-minded people about building happiness in the workplace. How does this address the idea that people are feeling pretty stressed these days when it comes to being in the workplace?
Yeah, of course, there are less people. They find less people, so less people have to perform like what before was done by more people. So that's one of the parts. There's also an individual responsibility. When people are moving towards wholeness, they get rid of these fears, angers, and griefs that they had. But yeah, it's both sides. The organizations, they should bother a little bit more about how people feel. So that is, again, like the masculine side. So it's both sides. But what we are willing to create in that conference is that organizations start thinking, start getting aware of what is going on, and that with COVID, the stress just increased. For example, people working from home. In the beginning, they were happy, and it was like, we work from home, so the freedom increased. And but then in the end, they started to see like, damn, we are missing our colleagues. So then they were looking forward to connect with their colleagues, and then they were thinking, okay, we might have to make a mix between both. But what they see now is that when people are working hybrid, so they work home and at work, they bring the work at home, and in the past, they could just leave the work at the workplace and then just go home and it was done. Now, with the hybrid working, they keep like, taking the work with them. And it's just like in their mind, it's like it's an extra pressure for them. So there, we have to look for a new solution. How can we get rid of the extra stress that people are taking with them by working hybrid? So it's not finishing. It's like every time we have to look for new solutions.
Yeah, they're so intertwined, as you said. I think it's very, very difficult for many people. Again, there's some situations where not obviously, but the work is very specifically located. It sits there. But even from the emotional and mental health and wellness, bringing it home is still on your mind. But today it's been amplified. I mean, the workspace and the home life have been so intertwined, where people have been setting up home offices and working from their kitchen table and all these kinds of things. And to your point is that they're so intertwined right now that it's going to be fascinating to watch as people return to work, to even watch that play out of how people might have gotten used to being at home. Because of course, like you said, some people miss their colleagues, and maybe some don't, and they're more likely to enjoy being at home. It'll be interesting to watch that play out as well. So go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, and now in Belgium here, they will stop like the mandatory homework. So they will bring people back to the office also because they need the people because there's a lot of COVID cases still here. So they need the people really to come to the office. On the other hand, 50% of 50% of millennials and Gen Z people, they were already telling the organizations, the moment that you skip working from home, we just leave the company. So it's just not going back to the old, because then they lose just like all the younger people in the organization.
Yeah, it's fascinating how it's just going to be fascinating to watch. I don't think this is obviously the last conversation we'll have about what we're talking about. Karen, I want to jump before we go into the fun part. Hey, we got to have some fun before the show. Got to have fun in the show. Your book. Let's talk about your book. I'm going to throw up the copy of the cover there. Tell everyone a little bit about the book. And just, the thought behind it and why you wanted to create this and share this with the world. Talk about that for us if you can.
Well, yeah. So just to kind of share a little bit about the journey of the book, this is the third time I've written it. So many people know that Karen's book is coming out. And like I said to people, it's not like I'm just telling you, what kind of jeans to wear or sweater to buy. We're talking about, positive mental health. I don't really like to use the term mental health. I talk about why that is in the book, but what I call proactive mind health is what I talk about. This book comes from like 10 years of research and my story as well added to it, although I don't share much about my story in this book. It's not about me. And I just want to fast track people to mind health and happiness and give them the skills and tools. I've spent many years researching it. I've spent a lot of money to research it. And I wanted to create a really fun and simple way for people to really create their own roadmap. Everybody's going to have a different takeaway from this book. I want everyone to have their own aha moment where something just gets them to think, wow, that's why I'm always so stressed, or that's why I feel sad, or that's why I don't know what to do with it. And oh, look how powerful I am, because the brain, mind, body is so powerful. And what we're learning right now in modern science is just, I find we've never lived in more exciting times as far as being able to achieve and sustain a healthy brain and mind. But the thing is, people just don't know. And it comes back to what Jim talked about. It's about our level of consciousness. And my whole reason behind this book is, and I talk about, my one goal in this book is to ignite people to just wake up and have the level of consciousness to know what it means to make proactive mind health a daily habit, because that's what it has to become in order to master it, and so that you never, ever experience a mental health challenge. And as a result, then you are moving towards your potential, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in your own fulfillment, whatever that looks like. I mean, we are talking a lot about happiness at work. And it's an area that I have studied, but really I'm about people first. That's what I'm about. I want to uplift people. I want them to feel hopeful. And I want them to move towards their potential and to show up for life. So the book's just, like I said, it's a fun read. It's about an hour read, but what's behind some chapters is just a quote. But the reason I chose the quote and the science that's behind that quote, I felt like that quote was like the most powerful thing to share. I didn't want to overwhelm people, but just make it really fun and easy. So that's what the book's all about.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, I put up the website so everyone can keep track with you and about the book and how they can learn more about where to get it and stay in touch with you and all that kind of stuff. So no, congratulations on that. And that's, again, it's not going to be the last time we talk about this subject matter as we move forward and so on. But hey, listen, we could talk all day, but we're not going to. You know what we're going to do right now? We're going to have some fun, Jim and Karen. This is just what we do.
I do know what we're going to do.
You know what we're going to do. I mean, it's just part of the show. I mean, I don't know anyone who comes at. This is my favorite part of the show. I just said, listen, I got to know what's going on in people's minds. I have to understand what really makes you tick, you see? So we have to understand, you know, if you had to choose something, this or that, we have to do a little this or that. Hey, we're going to do this or that. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to do this or that, which is always a lot of fun for me. But this or that, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do it the happiness edition. That's what we're going to do. And boom, there you are. Happiness edition. So normally I ask people, like, just choose this or that. There's nothing to it. But I want you to put it under this context. And we'll keep it really short and light. It's just a little bit of fun. There's no right or wrong here, everybody. So we're just having fun. That's right. So which one of these, I'm going to just say two things. And you tell me which one would make you more happy. More happy. Which one would make you more happy? Right? Yeah, that's right. Got to be careful here. Got to be careful here, everybody. So what would make you more happy? And what we'll do, we'll start when I'll ask Karen, and then Jim, you tell me which one of yours. And hey, listen, if you agree, great. If you don't, it's all good. There's no right or wrong. This or that. Here we go. This or that, the happiness edition. Let's start with, let's look at what's on top of it. And again, no right or wrong, everybody. Come on. Like we got to cut everyone a little slack here. More time. So we'll start with Karen. More time or more money?
That's a hard one, Peter, because you can do lots of great things with money, good things. And it's funny that you're saying this, though. I just have to say this, what makes you more happy? Because in my book, I talk about how there's two types of happiness, hedonic happiness and eudaimonic. So hedonic is more about pleasure and eudaimonic is more about inside here, which is the happiness that I talk about, right? So if I was to really say that, I probably would choose time for me because that would fulfill me more in my eudaimonic happiness.
Ooh, Jim?
For sure, more time. For sure.
More time. Yeah, more time. Well, I'm not playing this game right now. I'll let it go for now. I'll let it go. But I'm glad I got more time. I'll tell you that. I'm glad I got more time. That's for sure. How about this? A trip to the mountains or a trip to the beach? Karen?
To the beach.
Oh, to the beach, even though you live close to the mountains. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I love the mountains. Don't get me wrong. They're really powerful, but water is so powerful for me. Like the ocean is so powerful for me. So I love them both, but the beach.
100%. Jim, mountains or beach? What makes you more happy?
Beach. It was one of my dreams to have a coast house. And I have that, and it's wonderful to walk with the bare feet in the sand. That's one of my highest joys in life.
I remember. I think the show that we did together was from there, was it not?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you were looking out over. I was pretty jealous. I love that. Good for you. Okay, how about this? Which would make you more happy to have one of these superpowers? Invisibility or the ability to read minds? More happy. What would make you more happy? Which one would make you more happy? Karen Judge. Come on. There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong.
I don't know if I want to know what's on other people's minds. That might cause me stress. I'm going to say to be invisible.
Jim, what should make you more happy?
Reading others' minds, because I don't care what people think of me. So why should I be then invisible?
Okay, I love it. Listen, when you realize how little people think of it, I agree. Who cares what people's opinions are of you? As none of your business. I get it. So what would make you more happy right now, Karen Judge? Music from the '60s or music from the '80s?
I know. See, I'm a thinker. You got me. Both. I love all music. You know that. I love everything.
It's called this. Yeah, but it's not called this and that. It's called this or that.
Well, then maybe I'm going to change it. No, just okay. I'll say this 80s.
Yeah,
I loved the 80s.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun in the 80s.
Jim?
Yeah, 80s. Yes.
80s. Yeah. Well, my hair is stuck in 1987. I'm happy with that. It's all good. So I get it. How about a perpetual sunrise or a perpetual sunset?
Well, I'm sunrise for sure. I love the sunset. I love the sunrise because I love the energy of it. It's like new beginnings and the day's gone. And the sunset's so beautiful, but that when it's over, I feel a little sad. So I'm definitely sunrise.
Oh, that's a good perspective. Yeah, I know what you mean. When it goes down, you're kind of like, oh, but when it's, I know what you mean. That's interesting. Jim, sunrise, sunset.
Rise.
Sunrise. Are you an early riser? Yeah, you get up early?
Not really, but yeah, the new thing in it that I like.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. Okay, how about this one? This one would be interesting. I think I already. Well, I know I think I know the answer for one of you. How about a day in space? A day in space with Elon Musk, or a day in Maui with Oprah?
I don't even have to answer. Well, a day in Maui. I'm not sure I need to see Oprah, but a day in Maui would be mine. For
yeah,
sure.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I guess, yeah, that's probably what the question is. Space.
Yeah.
Space or Maui. Yeah, that's right. But a day with Elon Musk in space, Jim, or to go to Hawaii. You said you like the beach and you like sand.
Yeah. I was in Hawaii and Maui and Kauai. They are still my number one in the world. Yeah.
Oh, so you would go to Maui to see Oprah as opposed to Elon Musk?
Yeah, not to see Oprah, but to see the beach again.
Hey, listen, she might want to go to the conference. You never know.
Yeah, but I like her, but yeah, she's not on my favorite list to meet. So, but Hawaii, I want to go back. Yeah, for sure.
I'm sending her this clip right now. This will be good. Yeah. I'm saying we got the conference, but you're not invited to go. Anyway,
no, I checked the rates to have her on the conference, and yeah, that's another level.
Yeah, that's another level, and rightly so. All respect to Oprah. There you go. I just want to make sure I'm covering my bases here too as well. Okay, here's one for you. I love asking this question, but again, it's interesting. There's no right or wrong. But when you base it on happiness, I wonder if it's different. So what would make you more happy? More hope or more freedom?
Hope.
More hope. Jim?
Yeah, hope. Yeah, I always did what I wanted to do. So freedom, you can create yourself.
I think if you have hope, you have freedom.
Yeah. I mean, again, no right or wrong answer here, but it's interesting. You know, again, what would people define happiness inside of those concepts? The happiness of holding on to hope, or the happiness of holding on to freedom, despite hope or with hope, or fascinating. I always love asking that question, but again, no right or wrong with this. Always love asking this because it just makes sense, because life is good, and that's what we have to do. Finish this sentence for me, Karen Judge. I love my life because
I matter. Because it matters, right? We have 1 in 400 billion chances of being born. The fact that we're all here is such a gift, and it's so amazing. And I'm so grateful to have this opportunity, as we say, you know, maybe to have 100 years on this rock that's going through infinity. Think about that for a moment. So I have such gratitude to be able to have that experience. So that's why I love my life.
Absolutely. Jim, I love my life because
Because I can do and be whatever I want. So
Yeah, freedom of choice, freedom of movement, freedom to do and spend your time with who you want, when you want, how you want, for as long as you want. That's freedom. That's a great reason to love your life right there. I listen. Hey, no right or wrong answer to that either. Just so that everyone knows. My two wonderful guests here, Karen Judge and Jim Lippens. Total pleasure to have you guys, and I'm so happy to see that you guys are bringing the world of happiness at work into regular conversation. Jim, you're doing it through obviously the live conference, but of course it's streaming as well, and that's the connection with Karen now, and of course Karen in your space with a dose of happiness. People can again, corporations specifically, I mean, but individuals can reach out to you as well, but corporations and organizations can find a space, if you will, to create happiness. And that's what it is. Happiness matters. That's the whole point of this conversation today. Such a pleasure to have both of you guys here with me today. I hope you had fun. That's the most important thing. We spread a little joy and happiness for some people somewhere around the world. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for what you both do. And let's just keep spreading the message of happiness.
Peter, can I just say one thing before we go?
Sure.
I just want to thank you. You do such an amazing job of these shows, and I just think you're awesome. And even the beginning, I wanted to say this. I love the opening of your show and the way you've got everything, the music, the energy of it, everything. It's just, you're just doing an awesome, awesome job. And you're such a good interviewer, and you're so kind, and you can just feel your heart through these interviews. And I just really appreciate this opportunity for to have been on your show and to have had this conversation today. So I just want to thank you.
That's very kind. I appreciate that. Jim, like I said, hey, listen, you've already said that to me before, Jim, so you don't have to...
Yeah. So I fully agree, and you can even read it on the comments on Pete's profile. So the recommendations I did for people. For me, it's one of the best, and I mean it, not because you're there. I mean, for me, it's one of the best shows. You can see it's like interactive. It's the preparation is done. That's you're curious to know more. It's I told you. I don't know if you believed it, but I mean it. Yeah.
Listen, that's very kind of you both.
I want to say anybody, like, I'm going to do the plug for you that people should reach out to you, because you really are, you are the leader at being able to do this. So.
Oh, thank you. Hey, thank you both. That's super appreciate that. I'm going to, hey, this is a beautiful, anyway, I really appreciate that. I'm trying to be, thank you. I want to just say thank you to both of you. I appreciate it very much. Right from here. I appreciate it so much. Everybody who's been watching, I hope that you learn from these two lovely people, and I hope you go to their websites. I want to make sure, I'm going to put that up real quick, because here, if you want to check out Karen, of course, get a dose of happiness right there.com. Check out that facility, check out what she's doing, check out her book, all those kinds of things as well. For the conference coming up for Jim, there it is, happiness-conference.world. Everybody go there, June 28th, 2022. It's actually an in-person event, and if you don't feel that you will be traveling into Europe at that time, of course the stream will be there. And for those in Canada interested in learning more about the stream, get a dose of happiness with Karen, and you can find it there as well. Okay, everybody else, thank you for your comments. I'm going to go into every single one of your comments and send you a love, and thank you for supporting the show and always being here and so on. I'm going to show you what brings me happiness. Hey, I'm going to show you a little always about I love traveling, and we talked about the beach. So three of us, I think we all agreed we love the beach. Anything to do with sun, sand, and then when you can connect it with something that you love to do, meeting people, traveling, all that stuff, which I love to do, and then meeting one of my icons is Richard Branson, which I like that guy. I like that guy a little bit. And so I'm going to end the show with a little clip from some travels over to Necker Island. Necker Island, Jim, of all places, Necker Island. I had a chance to go there and spend some time with Richard Branson with my beautiful wife. Anyway, more importantly, sun and water and happiness. That's what I experienced. So we're gonna leave it on some happiness and so on. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Listen, we end the show every time. You know what the phrase is, everybody. Just be kind out there, everyone. Just be kind. That's all you have to do. Just be kind out there. Thanks, you two. We'll see you on the other side. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Cheers.